Captain Olivia Price of the Earth Diplomatic Corps stood before the mirror in her quarters aboard the Galactic Confederation station Harmony's Nexus. She frowned at her reflection, noting the bright red hue spreading across her nose and cheeks. Normally, her skin was a warm bronze, but today it looked like a painful sunburn. "Stupid quantum-shifted sun," she muttered, gingerly touching the inflamed skin. Who would have thought alien beaches could be so hazardous? Just as she started to scold herself, a chime sounded at her door. "Come in," she called, hurriedly pulling on her uniform jacket, wincing as the fabric brushed against her sensitive skin. Her first officer, Dr. Nathan Cole, a lanky xenobiologist, entered the room, his eyes widening at the sight of her sunburned face. "Captain, your skin, are you okay?" Olivia waved away his concern. "It's just a souvenir from Shalv on Aura Prime. Their binary star system can really pack a punch." Nathan raised an eyebrow, clearly concerned. "You might want to visit the medbay before the council meeting. The Grinthar representatives could misinterpret your condition." "No time," Olivia replied, glancing at her chronometer. "I'll be in chambers in 10 minutes. It's just a sunburn, Nathan. What's the worst that could happen?" Little did she know, the answer was far more complicated than she'd imagined. The Galactic Council chambers were a breathtaking example of alien architecture, designed to accommodate species from every corner of the universe. Floating platforms for anti-gravity races hovered next to tanks of water for aquatic delegates. The air was a carefully blended mix of gases, and translator nodes hummed softly, preparing for communication. As Olivia and Nathan walked to the human delegation's spot, they nodded in greeting to various alien representatives, settling into their seats. Olivia quickly noticed a ripple of murmurs and furtive glances directed toward her. "I told you the medbay was a good idea," Nathan whispered. Before Olivia could reply, a resonant tone echoed through the room, signaling the start of the session. High Counselor Thalionir, a being of pure energy encased in an ornate crystalline shell, floated to the center of the chamber. "Esteemed colleagues," Thalionir's voice echoed through the room, "we are gathered today to discuss the ongoing integration of Earth into the Galactic Confederation. Are there any urgent matters to address before we proceed with the agenda?" To Olivia's surprise, dozens of alien appendages, tentacles, limbs, and other strange appendages, shot up into the air. "The chair recognizes Delegate Torvek of the Thrilek Collective," Thalionir announced. A gelatinous blob wobbled as it spoke, its translator turning its burbling sounds into words. "By Counselor, I must express grave concern about the condition of the human representative. It seems Captain Price has suffered severe radiation burns. Is it possible Earth's sun has increased its intensity? Should we be preparing evacuation protocols?" Olivia blinked, stunned, then suddenly understood what was happening. She rose, trying to ignore the discomfort in her sunburned skin. "Esteemed delegates, please, there's no cause for alarm," she began, but her words were drowned out by a wave of concerned voices. "Look at the discoloration. Have their protective layers been compromised? Is this a sign of solar instability in their system? What if it's contagious? Quarantine protocols must be enacted immediately." Thalionir's crystalline form pulsed a calming blue, signaling for order. "Order, please," Thalionir intoned. "Let Captain Price explain." All eyes and other sensory organs turned to Olivia. She cleared her throat, feeling the weight of interstellar diplomacy pressing down on her sore skin. "Thank you, High Counselor, delegates of the Galactic Confederation. I truly appreciate your concern, but I assure you this is simply a mild sunburn. It's something humans sometimes experience after too much sun exposure." The chamber fell silent for a brief moment, then erupted into an even louder frenzy of chatter. "You mean this happens often?" gasped a photosynthetic delegate, their leaf-like appendages rustling with shock. "Intentional radiation exposure?" asked a silicon-based being, its rocky form creaking as it shifted in confusion. Olivia shot an urgent look at Nathan, who stepped up beside her, his voice taking on a lecturing tone. "If I may," he started, "human skin has a remarkable ability to produce melanin in response to ultraviolet radiation. This darkening of the skin, which we call tanning, is a natural protective mechanism. However, if we receive too much UV exposure too quickly, it results in redness and mild damage to the skin's outer layer, which we call a sunburn. Rather than calming the assembly, Nathan's explanation only seemed to amplify the concern. You purposely allow your protective layers to be damaged? The Thrillac delegate's gelatinous form quivered in what seemed like disgust. Not exactly, Olivia tried to clarify. Sometimes it's accidental, like in my case. I misjudged the strength of Aura Prime's twin suns. But yes, some humans do intentionally expose themselves to UV radiation for cosmetic reasons. It's considered desirable in some cultures on Earth. The council chamber descended into chaos, with delegates tapping frantically on datapads and consulting with assistants. Olivia could only watch in shock as her minor sunburn became a full-blown diplomatic crisis. Thalionir's crystalline form flickered with a spectrum of colors as they attempted to process the flood of new information. Captain Price, Dr. Cole, are you telling us that humans willingly expose themselves to hazardous levels of stellar radiation for cosmetic purposes? Olivia and Nathan exchanged a look, both stunned at how a routine council meeting had devolved into an interspecies inquisition. Well, when you put it that way, Olivia began, but she was interrupted by a high-pitched keening from the Kriva representative. Oh, the horror, the Juvor-like being trilled. To think we've been in diplomatic relations with a species that willingly irradiates itself. What other dangers might they be hiding? The Zenari Collector's representative, an elegant assembly of nanomachines, spoke up. Query: does this radiation exposure result in mutations? Hypothesis: humans are engaging in controlled evolution through solar manipulation? What? No, Olivia protested, but her voice was drowned out by the increasing chaos. A group of quarantine enforcers, clad in shimmering hazmat suits, began to corral the human delegation's area. Nathan, now backed into a corner by a swarm of enthusiastic xenobiologists, found himself surrounded by those eager to scan his radiation-resistant skin. Olivia could only watch in disbelief as her minor sunburn, the unfortunate reminder of her vacation, threatened to ruin years of diplomatic effort. Taking a deep breath, she winced as her sunburned skin protested, but she knew that desperate times called for bold action. Enough! She barked, her voice cutting through the noise like a plasma cutter slicing through metal. The chamber immediately fell silent, even the Kriva's high-pitched keening trailing off into an unexpectedly soft chirp. Esteemed delegates of the Galactic Confederation, Olivia began, standing straighter despite her relatively unimpressive height compared to the towering arboreal delegates. I believe we've gotten a bit off course here. Yes, humans get sunburns. Yes, some of us deliberately tan our skin, but I assure you we are not engaging in systemic self-inflicted radiation or controlled mutation. She paused, her eyes scanning the room. Some delegates still seemed skeptical, others confused, and a few appeared begrudgingly impressed by her outburst. The truth is, Olivia continued, Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Our relationship with our environment, including our sun, is complex. We've evolved to endure conditions that may seem harsh or even deadly to other species, but that doesn't make us a threat to the Confederation. On the contrary, it makes us uniquely qualified to contribute. Thalionir's crystalline form shimmered with a flicker of interest. Please, Captain Price, elaborate. How might Earth's unique conditions benefit the Galactic Confederation? Olivia allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. This was her moment to turn things around. Well, High Counselor, think about the unexplored regions of our galaxy, systems too dangerous for regular survey teams. Humans, with our ability to adapt, and let's be honest, our occasional lack of self-preservation, could be invaluable in pushing the boundaries of galactic exploration. A ripple of intrigue spread across the chamber. The Zenari Collective's avatar paused, clearly processing the idea. Proposal: creation of a human hazardous environment exploration division. Potential benefits are considerable. Exactly, Olivia said, eager to continue. We could go where no one else can, or where no one else would dare. Think of the scientific discoveries, the untapped resources. The Thrillac delegate burbled in skepticism. But the risks, the radiation alone. With respect, Nathan stepped forward, having finally freed himself from the swarm of xenobiologists. What you perceive as hazardous radiation exposure is, for us, roughly equivalent to a day at the beach. He shot Olivia a pointed look, one where someone forgets to reapply sunscreen. Olivia shot him a playful glare but carried on, her tone steady. The point is, esteemed delegates, what you see as a weakness, or some bizarre ritual, is actually one of humanity's strengths. We're resilient, adaptable, and we're eager to put those qualities to use for the good of the Confederation. The chamber hummed with growing excitement. Thalionir's crystalline form flickered with a spectrum of colors as they processed the information. "This is most unexpected, Captain Price," Thalionir said, their voice reverberating with a curious note. "When this session began, I did not foresee it would lead to a proposal for a new division of galactic exploration." "Neither did I," Ambassador Quora confessed with a rueful laugh. "But sometimes, the best discoveries come from the most unexpected places, even from something as simple as a sunburn." Over the next few hours, the Galactic Council debated the merits of Olivia's sudden proposal. Questions came fast and furious. "But what about the long-term effects of such continuous exposure to hazardous environments?" asked the Medicinal Frontiers Galactic's representative. Olivia gestured toward Nathan, who stepped forward again. "Great question. While repeated exposure to extreme conditions can indeed have cumulative effects, humans have developed numerous medical and technological solutions to mitigate those risks. From advanced radiation treatments to nanite-assisted cellular repair, we've learned to turn our biological vulnerabilities into opportunities for medical breakthroughs." The Mokhtharak's emissary, more machine than flesh, showed interest. "Fascinating. Your species' approach to adversity seems less about avoidance and more about adaptation and problem-solving. Most efficient." "Exactly," Olivia agreed. "Where others might see danger, we see challenge and opportunity for growth, both personally and as a species." As the discussion continued, Olivia could see the initial shock and horror on many delegates' faces slowly morph into cautious interest, and in some cases, outright enthusiasm. The Xerian ambassador, a being of living gas contained within a sophisticated suit, drifted forward. "I must admit, the idea of willingly exposing oneself to stellar radiation for aesthetic purposes still feels unsettling. But I cannot ignore the potential benefits of your proposed human hazardous environment exploration division. The gas giants in the Horsehead Nebula have long intrigued my people, but the conditions there have been too volatile for our probes." Olivia grinned, ignoring the sting from her sunburned cheeks. "Exactly the kind of mission we'd excel at, Ambassador. Imagine the advances in atmospheric science, the discovery of new resources." As she spoke, Olivia could almost see the gears turning in the minds, or equivalent cognitive organs, of the assembled delegates. The initial panic over her sunburn had been transformed into an eye-opening moment of realization. Humans, with all their peculiarities and sometimes alarming traits, could be the missing piece in the Confederation's exploratory goals. Thalionir's crystalline form glowed with a soft, contemplative light. "Captain Price, Dr. Cole, you have given us much to consider. This council will need time to thoroughly debate the implications of your proposal. But I must say, you've turned what could have been a diplomatic disaster into an extraordinarily intriguing opportunity." Olivia bowed slightly, wincing as her uniform jacket brushed against her sore shoulders. "Thank you, Counselor. I think this is a perfect demonstration of why human involvement in the Confederation is invaluable," Olivia remarked, a wry grin tugging at her lips. "We have a saying on Earth, necessity is the mother of invention. Sometimes it takes a bit of adversity, or in my case, an untimely sunburn, to spark new ideas." As the council session concluded, delegates began gathering in animated clusters, their initial panic from earlier replaced by a buzz of energy and potential. Nathan leaned in closer as they walked out of the chamber. "I've got to give it to you, Captain. Only you could turn a vacation sunburn into a proposal for a new branch of galactic exploration." Olivia let out a laugh, though she winced as the pain from her sunburn flared. "Thanks. But right now, I'd trade all this excitement for a nice, cool aloe vera compress." "Be careful," Nathan teased. "If you mention aloe vera, half the Xenobots on the station will be clamoring for samples of Earth's miraculous healing plants." As if on cue, a group of eager alien scientists approached them, asking a barrage of questions about human biology and the proposed exploration division. "Captain Price, is it true that humans can survive temperatures that would vaporize most carbon-based life forms?" "Dr. Cole, Could you explain how this melanin production process works? Could it be applied beyond solar radiation protection? Is it accurate that some humans willingly ingest neurotoxins for recreation? And how does this relate to your radiation resistance? Olivia held up her hands in mock surrender, trying not to laugh at the flood of questions. Easy, everyone. We'll have plenty of time for a full xenobiological briefing later. For now, how about we all head to the station's atrium for some refreshments? After all, diplomatic crises make me pretty thirsty. As they moved through Harmony's nexus, Olivia couldn't help but reflect on the turn of events. She had woken up that morning dreading her sunburn, and now she was the focal point of what might become one of the biggest changes in Confederation exploration in centuries. Inside the atrium, a vast, zero-gravity garden that served as the station's social center, Olivia and Nathan found themselves surrounded by a diverse group of alien diplomats and scientists. The initial shock had morphed into fascination, and now they were inundated with questions about human biology, culture, and how these elements could be applied to galactic exploration. So let me get this straight, burbled the Thrillac delegate, its gelatinous form undulating with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Not only do you willingly expose yourselves to radiation for aesthetic purposes, but you also have entire industries dedicated to simulating near-death experiences? These extreme sports of yours sound absolutely terrifying. Olivia chuckled, taking a sip of an unexpectedly delicious alien drink that tasted like a blend of mango juice and liquid starlight. Terrifying to some, exhilarating to others. It's all about perspective. Take bungee jumping, for example. Yes, it involves throwing yourself off a tall structure with only an elastic cord to catch you, but it's about pushing your limits, feeling alive, and seeing the world in a whole new way. A Juvor representative, their shimmering diaphanous form reflecting their curiosity, drifted closer. This concept of pushing limits is fascinating. In our culture, we focus on harmony with the environment, not confrontation. Yet you speak of these challenges as though they're beneficial. Nathan nodded eagerly. Absolutely. Human history is full of examples where facing adversity head-on has led to incredible advancements. Look at our space program. The harsh, unforgiving nature of space forced us to innovate in ways we never would have on Earth alone. Olivia added, "It's not just about physical challenges. Mental and emotional resilience are just as vital. Many of our extreme activities are as much about psychological endurance as they are about physical strength." The Moktharax emissary, whose optical sensors whirred as they processed the information, asked, "Does this penchant for risk-taking not lead to higher mortality rates among your species?" Olivia and Nathan exchanged a glance. It was a legitimate question, one that got to the heart of the misconceptions about humanity. "It's a common assumption," Olivia began, carefully choosing her words. "But the reality is far more nuanced. Yes, some humans take part in risky activities, but we've developed extensive safety protocols, protective gear, and training to minimize those risks. Our desire for excitement is balanced by an equally strong drive to innovate in safety." Nathan jumped in, eager to elaborate. "This apparent recklessness has deep evolutionary roots. Earth's diverse and often dangerous environments forced our ancestors to be adaptable and willing to take calculated risks. These traits that helped us survive now drive us to explore and innovate." The Xerian ambassador, who floated thoughtfully in the air, said, "Fascinating. So your proposal for this human hazardous environment exploration division is not just about physical endurance, but also about your unique psychological approach to challenges." "Exactly," Olivia beamed, but then winced as her sunburn reminded her of its presence. "Ouch. Speaking of challenges, remind me to pack industrial-strength sunscreen next time, Nathan." The group of aliens watched this exchange with a mixture of concern and curiosity. The Medicine Sans Frontiers Galactic's representative moved forward, their bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with professional intrigue. "Captain Price, if you'd allow it, I'd love to examine your epidermal damage. Our understanding of human physiology is still quite limited, and this could provide valuable insight." Olivia hesitated for a brief moment before shrugging. "Why not? In for a penny, in for a pound. That's another human saying. Might as well make use of this sunburn for the advancement of interspecies medical knowledge." As the medical representative began carefully examining Olivia's sunburn, using instruments that resembled abstract sculptures more than medical tools, the lively gathering in the atrium continued to buzz with questions and discussions. The Juvor representative, still grappling with the idea of voluntary risk-taking, posed yet another question. Another question, the Juvor representative said, their diaphanous form shimmering. Are these extreme sports and exploration activities common to all humans, or just a select few? Nathan, ever the expert, responded, It varies greatly. Some humans are natural thrill seekers, always chasing the next adventure. Others prefer a quieter, more cautious lifestyle. But even those who don't actively seek danger often admire those who do. Our popular culture is filled with stories of explorers, adventurers, and risk-takers. The Moktherak emissary hummed thoughtfully, then asked, How does this diversity of risk tolerance affect your societal structures and decision-making processes? Olivia, trying not to flinch as the alien doctor applied a cool, gelatinous substance to her sunburn, considered the question. It's a balancing act. Our governments and institutions have to account for both the cautious and the adventurous. It leads to some fascinating debates, especially when it comes to space exploration or scientific research. But ultimately, I believe this diversity strengthens us as a species. We have those who push boundaries, and those who ensure we do so safely. The Thrillac delegate bubbled thoughtfully. I begin to understand why the Confederation was so eager to include Earth, despite its classification as a death world. Your species brings a unique perspective to galactic affairs and unique problems. Olivia added with a self-deprecating chuckle. I doubt any other species has caused a diplomatic incident with a sunburn before. This sparked a round of laughter, alien chirps, burbles, and electronic tones that made Olivia realize just how diverse the Galactic Confederation truly was. And now humanity was a part of this cosmic tapestry, sunburns and all. As the gathering continued, Olivia found herself answering increasingly specific questions about human biology and culture. The initial shock over her sunburn had morphed into genuine scientific curiosity. Is it true that humans intentionally consume toxic substances for pleasure? Asked a horrified Fertocynthian delegate. Well, if you're referring to alcohol, then yes, Olivia admitted, though toxic is a bit of an overstatement. It's more like a mild poison that in small quantities can have relaxing or euphoric effects. This admission rippled through the gathering, sending waves of shock through the crowd. The Kriva representative trilled in disbelief. You willingly ingest poisons for enjoyment? Nathan stepped in, ever the scientist. It's not as alarming as it sounds. Human bodies have evolved efficient systems for processing many substances that could be harmful in larger doses. In fact, some compounds that are mildly toxic in small quantities can have beneficial effects. It's all about moderation and understanding our own biology. The Zenari Collective's avatar, its sleek form processing this information, hummed with what might have been approval. Efficient adaptation, it observed. Query: Does this tolerance extend to other environmental factors, atmospheric variations, gravitational differences, extreme temperatures? Olivia nodded, feeling a cool relief from the substance the alien doctor had applied to her sunburn. To varying degrees, yes, we can adapt to a wide range of conditions, though some require more time and effort than others. It's part of what makes us so well suited for exploration in diverse environments. As the discussion continued, Olivia could see the gathered aliens' perception of humanity shifting. What had started as alarm over her sunburn was now transforming into a growing appreciation for human adaptability and resilience. The Zarian ambassador drifted closer, their gaseous form swirling with interest. Captain Price, I believe I speak for many when I say this conversation has been most illuminating. Your species' approach to challenge and adaptation is certainly unconventional, but also undeniably intriguing. I, for one, am eager to see how this proposed human hazardous environment exploration division might reshape our understanding of the galaxy. Olivia smiled, being careful not to stretch her tender skin too much. Thank you, Ambassador. I'll admit, this isn't how I imagined my day going when I woke up worried about hiding my embarrassing vacation souvenir, but I'm glad we had the chance to clear up some misconceptions and open new avenues for cooperation. High Counselor Thalionir, who had been quietly observing the gathering, floated forward. Their crystalline form pulsed with a warm light. Indeed, Captain Price, what began as a potential diplomatic faux pas has transformed into a most productive exchange. I believe I speak for the entire Council when I say we look forward to further discussions on this exploration initiative. As the gathering began to disperse, delegates drifting off in pairs and groups, while still chattering excitedly about human biology and the prospects of the new exploration division, Olivia found herself alone with Nathan. Her first officer grinned at her. "Well, Captain, I'd say that's a mission accomplished, though I'm not sure turning a sunburn into a galactic exploration initiative was ever in our official diplomatic playbook." Olivia laughed, then winced slightly as the movement pulled at her sunburned skin. A note to self, laughing with a sunburn is not recommended, but you're right. Talk about making lemonade out of lemons. Nathan raised an eyebrow. "Careful, Captain. If you start explaining that idiom, we'll launch another 3-hour xenolinguistics discussion." Olivia said firmly, "Right now, all I want is a cool drink and a quiet moment. I'm in desperate need of a cool shower, some real aloe vera, and maybe a strong drink, though not necessarily in that order," Olivia muttered as they made their way back to the human quarters. She couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity of it all. One sunburn, and suddenly humanity was on track to lead a new era of galactic exploration. If this was how the Confederation responded to a bit of sun damage, she shuddered to think how they'd react when they learned about extreme sports or competitive eating. But that, she decided, was a diplomatic conundrum for another day. For now, she had a report to file, a sunburn to soothe, and an entire galaxy of fresh opportunities to ponder. All things considered, it hadn't been a bad day's work for a slightly crispy human diplomat. As Olivia and Nathan reached their quarters, a thought struck her. "You know, Nathan, we might want to give Earth a heads up about this new initiative before the Confederation makes it official. I have a feeling our adventure tourism industry is about to get a very interesting galactic upgrade." Nathan let out a groan. "Oh, stars, you're right. Can you picture it? Come to Earth, where everyday activities are extreme sports for 90% of the galaxy. We'll have alien adrenaline junkies swarming the planet to live the human lifestyle." Olivia smiled, despite the sting of her sunburn. "Well, on the bright side, at least it'll lead to some interesting cultural exchange programs. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with a cold compress and a mountain of moisturizer." As the door to her quarters slid shut behind them, Olivia couldn't suppress a laugh. In all her years of diplomatic training, no one had ever told her that a sunburn could completely alter the course of interstellar relations. But then again, that was humanity in a nutshell, always finding new, unexpected ways to leave their imprint on the universe. She made a mental note to request an update to the Diplomatic Corps training manual. Lesson 1. Always pack sunscreen. You never know when a little UV exposure could change the future of galactic history.